experiences in Turkey. So please, let's welcome Senator Pappas.
Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me tonight to share with you a wonderful meal. Well, I'm really not going to talk about fasting. Oh, all right, one thing. I have a really good piece of advice that my daughters use because they do fast, and that is to drink pomegranate juice the night before a fast because it retains water and then you're less thirsty during the fast. So, that's my bit of Dear Sandy advice. So, I suppose you're wondering how I ended up in Turkey. Well, maybe you're not, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So here I am, part Greek, Jewish, my children live in Israel. I really think that I went to Turkey so that I could test our guides' resolve about tolerance. So thank you, Ozer, Hulia, and Mustafa. You definitely proved that you were very tolerant. It was an amazing trip to Turkey. And how I really got there is it was supposed to be a legislators' trip, Minnesota legislators' trip, and we were all in the spring sent letters of invitation. And I was the only one who responded. Now, I don't exactly know why that was. It could be that people thought it was a scam, or people were too busy because it's a campaign year, or the letters came out during session, or I'm not quite sure exactly what happened, but I did realize after a while that if I really wanted to go to Turkey, and I've been wanting to go to Turkey for a while, I was going to have to organize the trip so that we had at least 12 people going. So I set about doing that, and we ended up with 2 senators. I'm one of them. We ended up with a House member going, Representative Nora Slawick, who's with us tonight. Wave your hand, Nora. We ended up with Hennepin County Commissioner Peter McLaughlin, who's down here in the front row. And we ended up with 2 former legislators, and with us tonight is former Senator Deanna Weiner, who's here, and then various friends, spouses, adult children, until we had our 12, and then we were good to go. So we were all very excited, and I want to just share with you just 3 things that were so amazing about the trip. First of all, the warmth and generosity of the Turkish people and the people involved in the Gülen movement was just hard to match. They welcomed us into their homes, they hosted us at restaurants, at their businesses, in schools. There were NGOs that explained their process. In fact, there was the Nahama group in Turkey. I thought that was very interesting. And we always left with gifts, everything from ceramic plates to copper teacups. It's just incredibly generous people. The Gülen movement is the largest civil society organization in Turkey. They have 300,000 people in Turkey, and it was very obvious the influence that they were having on Turkish life. Turkey is a very large country. You have to think about it like this. So here's Israel, and here's Lebanon, and here a little bit bigger is Jordan, and a little bit bigger is Greece, and then there's Turkey. I mean, it's really a big country, and we literally had to fly from city to city. In fact, that's the only time we might have gotten a little cranky is when it was our 3rd morning in a row that we had to be at the airport at 6 a.m. But it's also incredibly diverse from Istanbul, which is very European. I was just shocked with how European it felt to me. And there's been a lot of interest in Turkey and becoming part of the European Union. To the east, which was much more Asian, Central Asian, Gaziantep and Santa Urfa, and we were only 16 miles from Syria. So it was, and that was one of the most interesting dinners that we had because we were sitting in Santa Urfa, we were sitting at a table with people who were, I think this was the town, it was a Gaziantep, where it was, part Turkish, part Kurdish, and part Arab. And people had intermarried, and they were all there at the table with us, and we were all eating together in a beautiful rooftop restaurant while the musicians were playing music below. So under a full moon, right? What could be more perfect? So it was just a fabulous experience, incredibly large country. But finally, probably what I found the most interesting and fascinating was the politics. Well, is that a surprise? I'm a politician. That's not surprising. You have an incredible struggle, tension in Turkey between efforts to become a modern, scientific, educated, tolerant country, and yet still be a deeply religious people. Now, to us in America, that doesn't sound so strange. I mean, a lot of us are deeply religious, and we're also scientists and politicians and doctors and professionals of all kinds, even some lawyers in the room. But in Turkey, there's a real tension there because of the history, and you probably all know more about it than I do. But I just found it all very, very fascinating. And yes, they do have camels even in Turkey, don't they, Mustafa? We had a whole argument about whether they really had camels. They do camel fighting in parts of Turkey. So it was an amazing journey, and I just want to say from my heart that if there's ever anything I can do to help the Niagara Foundation, to help the Gulen movement, I'm very happy to do that. And I will certainly start by recruiting a whole new group to go next summer and have a very similar experience to what we had. Thank you very much.